So apparently it's really serious. I figure I could stand up on it.
Good evening and welcome to the Mount Olive Township Council meeting and workshop for October 17, 2017. If you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence for all the men and women that serve and protect us. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Michelle, would you read the Open Public Meetings Act, please?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda? Here. Mr. Ferrante?
Here.
Mrs. Labow?
Here.
Mr. Mania?
Here.
Mr. Stewart?
Here.
Mr. Roman?
Here.
Mr. Nicastro?
Here. Three items for discussion. The first item up is the Clover Hill odor complaints. Andrew?
Thank you, Councilman. Throughout the last year, there have been several odor complaints coming out of the Clover Hill community. The odor is emanating from a property at 99 Bartley Flanders Road, which is currently the Mint X Corporation. They've been a tenant there since 2015. They manufacture, like the name suggests, mint odor plastic bags, which are odor repellent. That site back in 1991 was approved by the planning board for this type of a use. There is another plastic bag manufacturer in that same complex. But like I said, in 2015, this Mintex came in and is renting space from the landlord there. So the plastic actually gets delivered to the site that's already mint scented. It's only when they actually heat the plastic to make the bags is what causes the odor in the air. It's an oil-based product, so while it is a distinct minty odor in the air, there is no harm to the environment or to the residents that are inhaling it. I live in that area. I've smelt it before. It is very, very distinct. DEP has been out there several times. Our health department has been out there several times. Odor is just one of those things where it's hard to monitor. By the time a complaint comes in and DEP visits the site or someone from the county, the odor in some cases is gone already. And it needs to be identified from the specific location where the complaint has come from. Our health department has met with the owner of the company. He wants to be a good neighbor. This week, or I believe last week, he did hire an independent consultant to do a odor survey in the neighborhood. So we should have those results next week. He is looking into ways to improve the technology to limit the odor. But at this point, there haven't been any violations that DEP or our health department can enforce. It was brought to our attention recently that he might be operating outside of his approved hours of operation, which might be a way for us to enforce something. But other than that, with the odor issue, it's an uphill battle.
Mr. Roman?
Andrew, the reason I wanted this brought up for discussion is because one, I had seen a couple of complaints from residents, and the odor that they were describing was not, and I've seen the mint ones, but the ones that alerted me was the ones that were more sewer in nature. Are there any sewer complaints, odor smells in that Clover Hill area?
Some of those odors are from sewer, and Tim could probably speak on that. We do have a facility in the back of the development. But we are working, that we can control, and we are working on ways of reducing that odor. I think there might have been a block or...
Randomly, we do get complaints about the plant's odor. The plant's on the south side of Clover Hill Drive. And it's more of the area of the lower numbers of Clover Hill Drive, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Devonshire. Pretty much in that isolated area is where we get the complaints from, which is probably about 150, 200 yards from the actual plant. Most of the complaints have been coming in around 8:30 at night. We're not getting a tremendous amount. It seems like a lot of repeat callers, and it's hit or miss. It could be as simple as what direction the wind is blowing. What we've done is that area, we've put fresheners, air fresheners in all the manholes in case some of the smell is emanating out of the sewer lines. We've also switched our processing times from overnight, from when we used to do it, now towards the daytimes when we're actually aerating the system to try to get some type of control over the nighttime odors that might be coming from the plant. It's not continual. Like I said, it's hit or miss. When we get the calls, we respond to the residents right away. A few of the residents that have complained a couple times, they actually have our cell numbers, so when they call, they can get a hold of us right away. What I explained to them to do is to document the exact time and date that they're actually getting these smells. That way I could trace it back to the plant to see what was going on at that time, because many of it is at night, 10:30 at night, 11 o'clock, 8 o'clock. You know, it's when we're off duty when we're getting the majority of the calls. So we're taking action. We respond every time. Do I have a fix for this? Not off the top of my head, I don't. We did look into a year or two ago about, as the MSA has an air freshening system that goes around the aeration tanks, which actually injects like Febreze out over the top of the systems. The actual flavor that we can get is called Tutti Frutti. I'm not kidding you. One of the issues we had, because last year or 2 years ago, we hired somebody from Gene Brzezinski's firm to come in and evaluate the plant to make sure that everything was running as it should. So we did get an engineer's report stating that the plant is running very cleanly and very efficiently. The cost to go with the air freshener type setup, I believe it was around $200,000. It was a big expense. And we're not getting complaints continually. Like I said, these are hit or miss. So we looked into it. It was a route we chose not to go. And what the engineer informed us of is basically what you'll be getting then is more complaints from the residents about the Tutti Frutti smell. Because currently it's just a few people may be a little more sensitive than others. I really don't have an answer for it. But if we start deodorizing the actual tank, everybody's going to smell it. And they're saying that the plant's running fine. You know, it's just, like I said, it could be wind direction. It's a sewer plant. It does what it's supposed to, but it runs very efficiently and very cleanly.
Has there been an increase in the number of complaints, like throughout the last few years?
The past few years, no.
Okay.
No, you know, it's usually the same, and a lot of times it's in the fall season. You know, we got a little bit over the summertime. It's nothing, and it's contained to probably a one-block area of just 2 or 3 residents calling because they can smell it at night. We've also talked to other residents in the exact same area, and they tell us they never smell anything. So it's, like I said, it could be someone's sense of smell, it could be the wind direction. It's not widespread. It's more of an isolated area of the Clover Hill plant that we're getting this. I've gotten no calls from South Sutton Park, which is right on the other side of the plant. So, you know, we just keep trying to figure out what's going on with it.
Do we have a report? Like, you know, when the complaints come in, is there any way that we can, you know, get a copy of the report?
Yeah, everything goes in iWorks.
Okay.
Everything is documented. Every single call we got, every action that we've taken, everything is documented.
Okay.
I can run you a report on it from this whole year.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Mania?
Tim, how often do you get the complaints?
Sometimes it's rare. I think so far in October, I've had none. Through September, I think I had 3 through the entire month. But like I said, I have it documented. I can actually get the hard numbers for these things. And every time we go, we jet out the sewer lines. It's cases coming from them. Like I said, we've put fresheners inside all the manholes. We've changed the operation of the plant. We're doing everything we can to try to alleviate the issue. Again, it's a sewer plant. It's like living by a train station and complaining about the train. It's there, unfortunately.
Anything else? Thank you. Sue is going to speak about the next 2 items over in the ordinance concerning the provisions for the town code. And if there's any questions on that.
Thank you, Mr. President. The OPRA resolution is basically opposing 2 Senate bills that are in place to amend the current Oprah statute. And the request for opposition is coming from the Clerks Association and also from the League of Municipalities. And that's because the bills, while the intent is good, they seek to clarify Oprah. And I think we all know that clarification of Oprah is badly needed because it's such a gray area, which is what causes public entities to struggle with it. The problem that in attempting to do that, it also, there's some good things in the bill, but there are also some very negative things which impose greater responsibility and burdens on public entities in responding, shortens timelines, and in the end, really increases the cost to taxpayers without providing any funding to increase these services. So the organizations have asked us to pass this resolution opposing, and that's basically the background. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer that, but that would be up for discussion.
Okay, thank you on that one. We have, what's the general consensus going around? John, Mr. Amianda, should we proceed with the resolution?
I support it.
John, Mr. Ferrante, Ms. Leo?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr.
I just
Ma-
want to, I
Yeah.
just want to add to and just say that it's not that we oppose giving information to the public, it's just this
Right.
mechanism that they're trying to pass is going to be cost prohibitive at the end of the
Correct.
day. And then it's gonna, taxes are gonna go up and then it's like,
Right.
hey, you want a document, come get it.
Correct. Mr.
We
Manning?
would probably need another person just for that.
Oh,
Is that
yeah.
correct?
Eventually.
Eventually.
Eventually, yeah.
Eventually, I feel down the road, we may need an employee just for Oprah.
With these new rules and all that they're doing,
My answer is yes.
yeah. Mr. Stewart?
Yeah, I'm in the same
Mr. Omen?
I am a tentative yes.
And yes, okay, so
So the
next meeting, we'll have a resolution for that. Got it? Okay. Next item for discussion is the ordinance concerning the amending certain provisions of the Township Code to comply with the changes in financial disclosure and filing requirements. So that's yours, too.
This is really just a simple update to the code to bring it into alignment with new regulations from DCA, from the local finance board, regarding who is required to file the financial disclosure statements. And over the years, this is another really murky area where the local finance board in some places says exactly who needs to file, but in other places does not. So we have to rely on case law that is, of course, constantly changing to kind of try to figure out who does and does not have to fill out these forms. And recently, DCA has amended their requirements to clarify this a little bit more. So I basically amended the existing ordinance to really parrot the DCA regulations and also incorporate them by reference so that every time the DCA regulations change, the township doesn't then have to amend the ordinance again. Kind of makes it a little bit cleaner process.
Thank you. Any questions? We have 12 resolutions. Does anyone have any questions, concerns, or comments on the 12 resolutions?
I will be abstaining on number 9.
You will be?
Yes.
Okay. We have one ordinance for first reading. Does anyone have any questions or anything on the ordinance for first reading? Seeing none, we have two ordinances for second reading. Does anyone have any questions on those? Seeing none, do we have any, oh, Mr. Fleischman? Go ahead, you know the routine.
Joe Fleischner, 34 Karen Place, and Vice Chair of the Planning Board. On that second reading for the outdoor dining, the Planning Board discussed it at our last meeting, and we voted to add, to come back to you, I know, for you to look at least once a week, the outdoor dining area needs to be washed down. And I wanted to make sure that was in your ordinance, and the reason was, for those of you with a science background, well, I have a science background. Food falls on the floor, sweeping it up does not kill the bacteria. And if you have little kids eating outside, et cetera, Chuck stated that in some townships, they actually require power washing. We did not, I mean, that's up to you folks to decide, but at least once a week, the outdoor area where people are eating food should at least be washed down so that bacteria, at least topical bacteria, should be removed. So that was what was decided by the planning board and recommended back to you folks.
Thank you, Ms. Lebo.
Joe, I just want, wash down with, are they talking about water or some kind of like a,
Well, some kind of disinfectant would be
Disinfectant
fine, but
with it.
it's up to you folks to decide. I mean, my personal feeling would be some kind of disinfectant with my background. I mean, that's what I would suggest, because people do eat outside, they bring their kids, et cetera. I know I wouldn't want my kids crawling around or where food's fallen and it's just swept up, because then the bacteria does grow. I mean, we can go overboard, which I don't think we need to do, but at least washing it down with some kind of, even just hot water, believe it or not, would work. But you can't just let food fall on the floor and sweep it up. That does not get rid of bacteria. And we don't need kids getting sick.
Was this, as we just notified, we never received anything from Chuck to amend the ordinance. Did they was he recommending that, or someone recommending
Yes.
that?
the
Joe
plan-
recommended it.
and
Joe is. You are.
No, I.
No, you recommended it to the planning board.
And the planning board voted to return to
Okay.
come back to you guys, because as you know, the process,
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, because Chuck didn't, he saw the ordinance, didn't send any amendments to it, so that's why we were asking.
oh, well,
Why not, if he
Yeah.
didn't send it? That was the question.
so,
Andrew,
I thought he would.
Andrew.
Andrew, you,
If you look on page 2 of the ordinance, number 3, it
Right.
states that the grounds where outdoor dining is conducted shall be clean and free of litter and shall be washed on a regular basis.
okay, so they did amend it. Okay.
Yes.
I just,
But he
what
didn't
I picked
notify.
up, I
Okay.
didn't see it, I apologize. I went back to look and, it's old eyes, what can I tell you? It's my grandson's.
So it's already in the it's already there then now.
That's great.
Yeah, I guess he did put it
It's
in
in
there.
there.
I thought I remember.
I'm sorry, Andrew, where is that again? I just want to double check and make sure.
Number 3 on page 2 of the ordinance. Not section 3, it's A3.
Shall be washed.
He
Okay,
just
so
didn't tell it, okay.
it was fine. It was in the original revised one that he sent me, so we're good.
Yeah.
So we're good, thank
Okay,
you.
I'm
Just
already-
double checking what was there.
Joe,
Thank
Joe,
you.
since we have Trevor here, can we ask Trevor if the health department's happy with that? Is that
What? Happy
sufficient?
with that? He's happy.
Yep. Okay.
He's
Let the
smiling.
record show he
Trevor, you're
nodded.
Let the
smiling.
record show, Trevor's happy with it.
Trevor nodded. We have
Oh,
a
we got
happy
two
Trevor.
thumbs up.
Thank you.
I just wanted.
Yeah, no,
to make sure
understood.
it's possible. I know it's,
We're we'll check in everything to make sure.
yeah.
Do-
Well, we don't always
Thanks.
have everybody here, so.
I know, right? Do we have any old business? Do we have any new business?
Nope.
Does anyone from the public at this time wish to be heard? Seeing none, close to the public, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Open up the Mount Olive Township Council meeting for October 17th, 2017. Michelle, please read the Open Public Meetings Act, please.
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante.
Here.
Mrs. Labow.
Here.
Mr. Mania.
Here.
Mr. Stewart.
Here.
Mr. Roman.
Here.
Mr. Nacastro.
Here. Mr. Amianda, would you approve the minutes from the previous meetings, October 3rd, public meeting, closed session?
Yes, Mr. President. I make a motion for approval of the minutes of the previous meetings on October 3rd, 2017, public meetings and closed session.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante.
Yes.
Mrs. Labow.
Abstain.
Mr. Mania.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Mr. Roman.
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro.
Yes. We have 20 pieces of correspondence. Anyone have anything on those? Seeing none, I open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 21-2017, an ordinance of the Township of Mount Olive, County of Morris, State of New Jersey, to amend and supplement Chapter 550, Land Use, to establish a definition for outdoor dining in Article 2, definitions, sections 550-5, and to establish outdoor dining as an accessory use in Article 7, zoning, district use, and bulk regulations, and to provide standards for the same in new section 550-78, outdoor dining, Article 5, design guidelines and technical standards. Mr. Ferrante.
Try to make a motion for, to move for final adoption, ordinance number 21-2017.
Second.
Anyone from the public wish to be heard on that? Seeing none, close to the public. Any council discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Almeida?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Labow?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. Ordinance number 21-2017 is passed on second reading, and I hereby direct the clerk to forward a copy of the same to the mayor and publish notices adoption are required by law. I open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 22-2017, an ordinance of the Township of Mount Olive, amending ordinance number 27-16, which establishes salaries for mayors, council, department heads, supervisory personnel, and employees of the Township Clerk's Office. Ms. Labow?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption and final passage of ordinance number 22-2017.
Second.
Anyone from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, close to the public. Any council discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Almeida?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Labow?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. Ordinance number 22-2017 is passed on second reading, and I hereby direct the clerk to forward a copy of the same to the mayor and publish the notice of adoption as required by law. Next item on the agenda for first reading is, with a second reading scheduled for October 31st, is ordinance number 22-2017, and ordinance number 23-2017, an ordinance of the Township of Mount Olive in the County of Morris and State of New Jersey, amending certain provisions of Chapter 15, Committees, Commissions, and Boards, Article 8, Ethics Standard Boards of Township Code to comply with changes to financial disclosure form filing requirements. Mr. Mania?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that ordinance number 23-2017 be introduced by title and passed on first reading, and that a meeting will be held on October 31st, 2017 at 7 p.m. at the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, for a public hearing, consideration of second reading, and passage of said ordinance, and that the clerk be directed to publish, post, and make available said ordinance in accordance with the requirements of the law.
Second.
Anyone from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, close to the public. Council discussion, any? Roll call, please.
Mr. Almeida?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Labow?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes, we have 12 resolutions. Anyone wish to move any to non-consent? Seeing none, Mr. Stewart, would you move resolutions 1 through 12?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to move for adoption and final passage, consent resolutions 1 through 12.
Second.
Anyone from the public wish to be heard on any of them? Seeing none, close to the public. Any council? Ms. Labow?
Yes, I just want some clarification for, well, a little more information on number 9 for the water line. When is that going to, the project going to be started?
We'll be authorizing the contract today. We'll have a pre-con meeting within the next 2 weeks. We're trying to get the contractor on board to start in November. If not, the latest will be spring of 2018. The mayor did have a meeting with the residents last week. They're all aware, and they're being patient, and they appreciate,
Yeah, because
us
it's been
moving
going on
forward.
for a long time for them, so that's, let's hope for November. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Almeida?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Labow?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Abstain on number 9, yes on the rest.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. Mr. Roman, would you please move the bill list?
I move for approval the bill list.
Second.
Any discussion? Anyone from the public? Seeing none, close to the public. Roll call, please.
Mr. Almeida?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Labow?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. Any administrative reports?
Nothing to report tonight.
Nothing to report. Thank you. Any old business?
Yes.
Ms. Labow?
I just wanted to see if we have an update for the lake, for the treatment and the sulfur odor and all that. Anything new to report on that? No?
I do not have an
No?
update. I could go back unless the health department has an update on the testing. I'm not familiar with the issue.
I know we have, last time we were talking about it, there was another invasive weed that was found, and we were going to have, I believe, 2 different companies treating. I don't know how that's,
Well, let me state my name first. Derek Webb, Deputy Director of the Health Department. The Health Department has not been involved with the treatment of the lake as far as the weeds. That's been Aquatic Analytics, which the last time I spoke to them, they said that they had some ideals in the works in regards to the treatment to the lakes, and they would come back to administration and come up with a plan.
Okay.
In regards to the odor, we're actually performing water samples and sediment samples on Thursday.
oh, good.
The holdup was, it was just some equipment issues that we had. So we're sampling for hydrocarbons, and it's kind of a shot in the dark to see if maybe there's hydrocarbons in a lake. Doing historical investigation, we determined that the gas station Sinclair's had an underground storage lake. The little triangle area by CVS, there was an underground storage lake there.
Yep.
And both of those times, the lake had to be dredged. So there's a theory that whatever petroleum-based products leached off into the lake may have bonded with the sediment at the bottom. So it's just more of a precautionary thing, just to make sure that that's not where the odor is coming from.
Okay.
I know Bud Lake Fire Department has been out there in the area checking all the establishments with their gas detectors, meters. They haven't found anything. Even in speaking to Aquatic Analysis, the methane odor, they don't really think that it may be the lake or be coming from the weeds in the lake, because the type of algae that produces that type of odor is a blue algae that's not present in the lake. If it were more of a sulfuric smell, they would equate it to the vegetation dying off and the lake turning over and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll be conducting water analysis on Thursday. Results take somewhere between 10, 14 days to come back.
That's interesting, because my younger son Curtis, is very sensitive to odors and that, and he had stopped by CVS, picked up a prescription. He gets home, he goes, "Mom, what is that smell at the lake?" And I said, well, it's like the sulfur, because I haven't smelled it yet at all, you know. And he said, "No, it's not sulfur. It's definitely not sulfur." He goes, "It's like a chemical type of a smell, you know." And he was like trying to describe it. So from the locations you're talking about, with CVS being right there, perhaps it's maybe the odor's coming from a different direction we're not aware of.
And maybe.
Yeah, I mean on that not the weeds, you know, rotting away. It's more something else. But at least, thank God, you're doing the tests. That'll give us some answers. How long before the results come in?
We take the samples on Thursday. They get picked up on Friday. I would say 2 weeks after this, up and coming Friday.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
The hydrocarbon test that you'll be running, will it be able to differentiate between naturally occurring methane and petroleum-based hydrocarbons?
I believe so. I know there's a whole parameter of different hydrocarbons that's we're looking to analyze. I don't know them off the top of my head. If you want, I can
Yeah,
figure
because
it out.
I'd be curious of whether the hydrocarbons that we're testing for are if we're, you know, testing for a specific chain, which would indicate obviously petroleum-based,
Yeah.
versus, you know, a more, instead of just a generic, you know, hydrocarbon test, which could mean anything.
Anything coming off of 46,
Right.
you never know. Yeah. But
So-
no, I can definitely send you the parameters that what we're looking for and give you an answer to that, to specifically if it's something that is source potential specific to a petroleum-based product, or if it's just something coming off of the 46, or maybe something coming off of the motors from the boats.
And when we're taking these samples, are we gonna be mapping out where in the lake we're taking those samples, so there'll be like a grid?
Yes, we're taking it from 3 areas. We're taking it from across from the Sinclair's gas station, which is pretty close by the beach. We're taking it across from CVS, and we're also going to take a sample in the middle of the lake to act as a control to kind of compare off of.
Okay. And will that be done at only one specific time, or they'll be done at different times of the day?
No, it'll just be done once, one
And
specific
when
time.
was the last time that we ran a test of that nature?
Hydrocarbons?
We have no history.
I'm not aware of that.
And is this something that you would recommend that we just on an ongoing annual basis test in order so that we can at least be able to map out a trend, and so we can identify things ahead of time?
I'm not sure in regards to that.
How-
The recommendation for the sampling of the lake actually came from Aquatic Analytics. So I'm kind of going based off of their recommendations.
Now, what's the amount of time and expense incurred in conducting this test?
I believe the expense, it was $1,700, somewhere around $1,700 for 3 samples. So if this is something that you want to do continuously for the lake, it can be pretty expensive. The main thing in regards to the lake, aside from the odor that you want to make sure that you test for, especially with the beach opening, is total coliform and fecal coliform, which we already do. So I couldn't make that recommendation to do any more expensive or extensive analysis. If it's safe for recreational bathing, then that's fine. If the test comes back that the hydrocarbons or there are presence of hydrocarbons and it's pretty high, then we'll have to do more of an investigation.
So the normal testing that we do is basically we've been only testing for bacteria, not for the presence of any petroleum-based products.
No.
So, I mean, is there any reason, in your professional opinion, that we shouldn't, in a annual basis at least, test for hydrocarbons, regardless if there's an odor issue at the lake?
Not really. The lake is going to tell you what's going on with it. If you had a fish kill, if you had a large amount of foam, more than normal, what normally occurs on lakes, I would worry. Hydrocarbons being in Bud Lake, it's a stretch. You can always go safe to sorry, but we can test for anything.
Mm-hmm.
But would it be necessarily cost effective? I don't think so.
All right, thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you, Derek. Any other old business? Any new business? Seeing none. Any legal matters?
No legal issues, but the Oprah resolution just prompted something that we wanted to say last week and didn't get a chance to. And that was really to commend your clerk and the clerk's office in the work that they do for Oprah and in getting minutes out. Mount Olive receives many Oprahs, some of them directly to the police department, but most of them directly to the clerk. And Michelle really does an outstanding job in responding as quickly as possible to many requests that are all sort of going on at the same time and collecting records, and also getting the meeting minutes out in a really timely fashion. So we just wanted to kind of put that out there and give her some good words on that.
And thank you. Thank you,
Susan.
Michelle.
I agree.
Thank you.
100%.
She does a good job. We take it for granted sometimes. Good job.
And contrary to belief, it's not because of me that the increase in overall requests.
Joe?
Yes.
I agree 100% with that, and also with, in real estate, I deal with other towns, and I asked for Oprahs. I did have one 2 months ago. It was actually a county, not Morris, and they said, no, you don't need an Oprah request today. You can just go up on our website and get the information. Those Oprah requests are such a pain in the neck. And I was like, whoa, you are not supposed to say that. You're not supposed to act like that. The information was on the website, but still, if I wanted like a little bit more official, but I do deal with some of them, and there's not, no one's as good as
That's
we
going
are,
on.
and our department is. You guys really rock. Thank you.
Council reports. Mr. Amiana, anything on Board of Ed or seniors?
Yes. The Mount Olive Board of Education met for work session on Monday, October 9, 2017, at the Administration Building, 6:30 p.m. The board immediately went into a closed session for 15 minutes After closed session, the board discussed and took actions on personnel, curriculum, and instruction, business administration, and policy matters. Dr. Larry Reynolds, the superintendent, gave reports concerning students' academic progress, state audit report, and HIB, harassment, intimidation, and bullying matters. The board approved a tentative agreement with the union, IMO, concerning their finance and benefits. The board also issued the same a report they had stating that the Mount Olive Township Board of Education notice of rescheduling meeting date. Notice is here given that the regular meeting of the Mount Olive Township Board of Education previously scheduled for Monday, October 23rd, 2017, has been rescheduled to Monday, October 30th, 2017. The meeting will commence at the customary time of 6:30 p.m. at the Board Administration Office, 227 Route 206, Flanders, New Jersey. That's the end of the Board of Education report. The Senior Citizens Club did not meet, but and as those who took part, the seniors a batch game with the town council went very well. But the seniors think that they won the game.
Again.
And that's good.
Thank you. Mr. Ferrante, anything on Lake Environmental or Library?
Just the library, I got the October Director's Report, which basically just relates to some of the building issues or items. They're looking to replace some worn carpeting in the tech room. They're going to be installing some new light fixtures in the main reading room, and installation of cameras have begun.
Thank you. Ms. Slabow, anything on economic, TNR, or open space?
No.
Thank you. Mr. Manny, anything on planning or legislative?
No, Joe took my thunder.
You got it. Health Department meets tomorrow evening at 6:30 here, in case anyone's interested in attending. Mr. Roman, anything on Rec or Pride?
Recreation met last week on Wednesday. We were updated on the events that occurred throughout the summer. The carnival, the attendance for the carnival increased. So we've already started planning for next year. A couple of programs will be phased out just due to low attendance. And new programs are in the works. We should have a complete report of what's dropping off and being added within the next few weeks. On Pride, the flags are up at Turkey Brook Park, so if anybody's had a gander.
They look great.
Yeah. I personally picked that design if you'd like it. If you didn't, it's not my fault. We will be changing to a more winter theme December 1st. That'll be, so the plan from the Pride Committee is to rotate the flags seasonally. And we will be, one of the things that we're thinking of doing is getting veterans that have, in Mount Olive that have served and have flags of them placed in Turkey Brook Park. So alternate, so people get the, so we can honor those that have served in Mount Olive. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Anything on MOTV or community action?
Community action, we've already started the planning for 2018. And MOMAC, the Municipal Alliance, committee, we're exploring to try and feature a Good Citizens Award next year.
It's a good idea. Thank you. Anyone from the public wish to be heard on anything? Yeah.
Good afternoon, or good morning, whatever time it did. I have two
Just state your-
questions. Had some people
Name
pop
and
by my
address for the
home, over the weekend.
Just the name and address for the record, Rich.
My name's Rich Escobar, I live at 69 Woods Edge Avenue, Bud
Thank
Lake.
you.
And they kind of got me caught off guard. Did the BASF building sell? Is it?
Yes.
Is it? It's sold?
Yes,
Someone
it's
bought
sold.
it? Okay,
Sold to Green Tree Developers.
okay. And then I guess the other thing was there a proposal sent to Amazon prior to the sale
Andrew?
for
from the
them to
administration
be
was on
considered?
There was something sent on Monday on the mayor's behalf.
Oh, okay. All right,
The
all right.
proposals, the RFP was announced sometime in, I believe, September. And when I came on board, something was sent out.
All right, great. Thanks a lot, because I didn't know, they caught me off guard, and I didn't know
problem.
what to say, so I appreciate your help. Thank you.
No problem, thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, close to the public. Any council comments? Mr. Amianda?
Yeah, I have something to say, Mr. President. On Thursday, October 12, 2017, I attended Boy Scouts of America 2017 Good Scout Awards dinner. Mr. Greg Stewart, our fellow councilman, was among the honorees. Mr. Stewart and other honorees were recognized for their outstanding services and dedication to the Scout youth in their communities. That's small piece of comment there. And the other one which I wanted to say was that, Mr. President, I welcome Colleen Labo back to work with us, and I want Colleen to know that the council missed her presence. And that's the end of my comment.
Thank you. Mr. Ferrante?
Sure, I too would like to welcome Colleen back. Glad you're feeling better.
Oh, thank you.
And I'd like to thank the seniors as well for a great bocce match we had this past weekend.
Yay.
It was a good time.
Ms. Leba?
Yes. Just want to thank everybody for the well wishes, and just watch out for those acorns in your driveway, because when you slip on them and you hit your head, it takes a long time to recover.
Mr. Mania, anything?
Happy to see that we're moving forward on the water line on Ringenback Lane.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
And on a happy note, we won the bocce game. We only played one game, but we won.
You beat him, huh? It's tough to beat him.
Last year we got
Last year we
swamped.
got, yeah, I know. Mr. Stewart?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Roman?
I'd just like to also welcome Ms. Leba back. As most people are aware, her and I banter back and forth, and I truly missed that, so welcome back. Thank you.
And
I'll make up for it, don't worry.
again, congratulations to Mr. Stewart
Yes.
and Daniel for pointing that out on your award. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you all for coming.